Well, first of all, I don't think we're going anywhere in this state until we get the House cleaned and the legislature cleaned up. Again, I'll say, I think it's people inside the legislature, representatives, need to hold their own party responsible and accountable. And so I certainly want to see ethics reform starting with the PAC-to-PAC transfers. Cameron Val served on the Ethics Commission in the state, and she helped me understand a lot about the fact that the Ethics Commission doesn't have that subpoena power, and so that they're an empty shell. And so that's got to be part of it. And I have seen the Republicans and the Democrats who have stated what their ethics reform packages, we're all saying the same thing. Republicans and Democrats who are speaking for that right now are saying the same thing. They all have the same planks in the platform for that. And we've got to do that because we don't even know where a lot of money is going. I am appalled, having worked hard, long hours in nonprofits, to have a legislator create a, quote, nonprofit and hire all his or her relatives there to fill those positions and get discretionary funds to go into that. I abhor that. That you can't hurt families any more than doing something like that. So where does that money go? We don't know. We don't have any cost-benefit analysis on, certainly on these pet projects, but on a lot of expenditures. And as a grant maker from the Women's Fund, we would make the grant, we would have the agency measure the outcomes. Is it working? Is it not working? And not everything is going to work, but you got to keep trying things. But if it's not good outcomes, you don't keep funding something that's not working. But at least we knew, whereas in the legislature, you don't even know sometimes. Is it working? Is it not working? So it's too much, again, it's too much power for the incumbents. And I really do believe that if we can't pass ethics reform, then the people ought to mount up and say, then y'all need to have term limits, period.
So
that's the only other way to stop it.
What would be the elements of ethics reform that you would like to see?
Well, definitely we need to stop that PAC-to-PAC transfer. I think the least that legislators can do is to post online on their websites every meeting they have with a lobbyist and for what purpose that meeting was. And let the people, if people will do their part, if our voters will do their part and be active and look at that, they'll see who's coming to visit. Is it the gambling interest? Is it the big whoever that are such strong lobbyists in our state? If they're knocking on your door, then you know good and well who's trying to influence your legislator. So I think that's the least we can do. I definitely want subpoena power for the Ethics Commission, and I definitely want much more transparency across the board. But we just got to make it a fair place.
And you were talking about some of the monies that sort of get shuffled off into special organizations that are created. You wouldn't be concerned with which party was doing that? You just think it's wrong no matter who's doing it?
It's wrong no matter who's doing it. And I think it would be hard for someone from the other party to come to me and try to make me accountable. But someone from my own party saying, look at the stain that is on our party because you're doing that, that's where you're going to get the accountability.
The contribution limits, the amount of campaign money that is in Alabama politics, I've always thought that, $500,000 contribution, that's actually got to be a transaction. No one gives $500,000 out of the goodness of their hearts. Should we have some limits?
Quite honestly, that's one thing I have not studied a whole lot. I would want to see what other states are doing, where I would want to see facts to back it up that, yes, we can demonstrate that states that have the unlimited thing actually do have more corruption within their legislative bodies, and I have not studied that yet. But I have, from people who are out of state who wanted to contribute, have asked what the limit is, and I've said there is none, and they are appalled. So I definitely would want to study that more. But if there's something they can demonstrate that, then I think that's what we ought to go for. But because we just assume and intuitively you think, yeah, if someone is going to give you $500,000, then you're going to do their bidding. And I would make that assumption too. But I quite honestly haven't gotten that far and studied that yet.
So is that a kind of an example of how you would approach problems? That you see something that might be a problem and you're going to go out and get some information and really try to bring an informed decision-making to the process?
Absolutely. I think as long as we pay attention to sound bites, we don't know. We really don't know what's under there. But I've always approached, and I guess that's my educational background, is that you study the issues from as many different perspectives. You get as many different perspectives as you can. You go to the research, and I know sometimes that's, people don't trust research, and I certainly know that you can skew data really easily. But you keep looking for the facts and the demonstrations, and then you look at states that have model legislation in certain things. Back to the idea of the strangulation as a felony. There are 6 states who have model legislation on that one issue. And then they have the experience to tell you what worked, what didn't work, what they had to change, what they had to amend, and you have the benefit of their wisdom, and you look at your state, and if it seems like this is what can work in our state, then that's where you start. That was, one of the issues with charter schools. It all came so fast. Quick, let's get Obama's money. Quick, let's pass charter schools. Where did they do their homework? I don't think they did. And not all charter schools are created equal. Some are good, some are bad.